So your video looks like trash, likely with the pixel blocky effects such as the clips I'm playing right now, which are actually from the last video I uploaded. I recorded the video with OBS using CBR rate control at a 2500 bitrate and my CPU usage preset set to very fast. So how come my recording looks perfectly fine now? There are a few factors that impact the video output quality, but the most major ones we need to worry about today are rate control, bitrate, CRF, the CPU usage preset, and your downscale filter if you're not outputting at your base recording resolution. You could also change your recording format, which influences some minor details. However, I prefer MP4 for ease of use, so I'm not going to explore that or its effects in this video. Let's start off by explaining bitrate, as it's the most widely used due to its multi-purpose utility of streaming and recording with it, whereas other rate controls from CBR or constant bitrate can often be polarizing against streaming capability. A bare bones 720p 30fps video should be outputted at a bitrate of around 3000, which diligent listeners might know I mentioned the bitrate I was using for those 1080p 60fps gameplay clips was 2500, which is dramatically below functional quality as we saw. For an output of 720p 60fps, you'd want to double the bitrate altogether since you doubled the frames, so now you'd want a bitrate around 6000. However, you can wiggle a few hundred around depending on how damaging it is to your computer or internet's performance. If you're outputting 1080p, the numbers don't actually change that much, still sticking within an acceptable range of 3000 to 6000, whether it's 30 to 60 FPS, which sounds pretty logical. And that's because it is, as bits mentioned in bitrate are translatable with pixels and frames, although translatable does not mean it is one-to-one in any science. Hence why there is variance in what is optimal. It's also useful to note the range of what upload speed is optimal for the 3000 to 6000 bitrate we've mentioned if you're live streaming is 5 megabits per second to 7.4 megabits per second, or around 0.6 megabytes per second to 1 megabyte per second. But ideally, I'd recommend aiming for 10 to 20 megabits per second if you can for live streaming with less latency. So what if you have no intention to live stream at all? Then a stronger alternative from CBR or constant bitrate as rate control would be CRF, which is constant rate factor, or CQP, which is constant quantization parameter, the latter of which is actually live stream friendly despite the context I'm introducing it in. CQP is more competitive with CBR but has much more conditional context, so I'm going to prioritize explaining CRF, which I believe is the best rate control you can use with the provided context. Opposed to our traditional CBR bitrate settings, we are introduced with the definitive article CRF value, likely at a default 23, which sounds small because it's exponentially scaled opposed to the flat bitrate from CBR. Increasing the CRF value will decrease quality and file size, while decreasing the CRF value will increase quality and file size. CRF value of 0 is lossless with the utmost largest file size, however that is greatly wasted on 99% of content unless you are working for NASA with the most advanced video technology on the planet. The utmost bottom of the barrel you can output with a CRF value of 51. But what value should you actually use for the proposed qualities that hold relevance? Again, we start at 720p 30fps for our base with a strong CRF value of 20 to 23, which is supported already by the default 23 value, so there's no concern there. Conditionally, this value can also be entirely acceptable for 1080p 60fps footage, however I'd more so recommend a CRF value of 17 to 18 if video quality is a valued part of the video. Though increasing CRF has diminishing returns, so there aren't any outstanding benefits to be found from lower CRF values than 17, but for our NASA video recorders in the audience, there are more pixels to find, and I am not qualified to say how deep the rabbit hole you should go for what you need there. Having addressed rate control and its respective variables, the next enemy on our objective list is the wildly unhelpful CPU usage preset, with the note higher equal less CPU, which is incredibly helpful because the measurement it uses is in height and not anything else silly like speed. The obvious intent is that it means higher on the list, as in less CPU usage at ultra fast and the most CPU usage at very slow. What's placebo then? Well, technically it is a slower CPU usage and serves as an extra increase in quality. The return on your investment is entirely inconsequential. except perhaps for our NASA video recorders in the audience who want to catch every last pixel in the solar system next door. So what CPU usage should you use then? The first 5 settings from the top, ultra fast, super fast, very fast, faster, and fast, will all encode in less than 1/4 of a second with very minimal differences. The change from the fastest to the slowest CPU usage is exponential. For example, the change between ultra-fast and super-fast is almost non-existent. However, the change from medium to slower is more than 1/4 of a second altogether, at a dramatic 40% increase in encoding time. Then on the slower setting, a 100% encoding time increase, on that ultimately resulting in a dramatic 280% increase in encoding time between the medium and very slow settings. So what should you use then? It depends entirely on what you can use. So unfortunately you need to try for yourself and gauge what your CPU can handle. I tried to find usable benchmarks to display here, but unfortunately the concepts I've discussed in this video are extremely niche and lack much needed sourcing on the internet. But the end result is select the slowest setting your CPU allows without reducing performance. All that difficult rate control and CPU usage preset research has got me exhausted. So what was the last variable I mentioned explaining at the start again? Oh, perfect. It's the video downscale filter, which is outrageously simple. There'd be more to talk about, but OBS only has 4 native selections from bilinear to land cause, and my graphic designers out there already know how simple this is. But bilinear is the lowest sampling with the worst results, while land cause is the best sampling with the best result. Yet another simply use the best your computer can handle. Thank heavens for that. This is only relevant if you are downscaling your native resolution. For example, from 1080p to 720p to improve streaming quality as hindered by your internet, or to restrict file sizes. In conclusion, you just need to play with it. Start recording on very slow CPU usage preset, CRF18, or alternatively, CBR 6000 to 10,000, and record what you usually record, then select lower quality settings until your OBS stops listing error messages for encoding, frames, etc., or your live stream service stops listing lost packet. Thankfully, these error messages are very conclusive on if your computer or internet can handle your current settings, so you can troubleshoot through everything in a matter of minutes to find the perfect combination for your available resources. With that out of the way, we are done with OBS optimization for the day. This video required a lot of research to make and was made entirely out of spite because of my own issues with the OBS settings and my inability to find expansive descriptions of what anything means beyond do this, it's good, and don't do that, which, while helpful as a brute force solution, didn't leave me feeling well informed with my decisions. Hopefully this video helped you as much as researching these topics helped me, and if it did, the best way you can support me is to like the video and comment any questions you have, as it might inspire me to expand my knowledge and possibly make more videos like this one with that expansion.